everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are going to talk about points of view. Do you know what point of view is? Points of view is the perspective from which the story is being told. It usually happens in first person, second person, or even third person. First person usually includes pronouns like I or me. Second person point of view usually includes you or yours. And third person point of view usually consists of he, she, or they. So today, we are going to read the story called The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. And as we read today, I want you to think about who is telling the story and even what do they want. They're going to share with us a different side of the story, contrary to what you've heard before. Join me as I read along. The True Story of the Three Little Pigs by A. Wolf. Everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody's ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf, but you can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault that wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think that you were big and bad too. But like I said, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze, achoo, and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in once upon a time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold and I ran out of sugar. Achoo! So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in their right mind builds a house out of straw? Do you see the house in the picture? And can you tell that it is built out of straw? I wonder what's going to happen to that house. Let's make a prediction. So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in? But there was no answer. I was just about to go home without that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake, and that's when my nose started to itch, and I felt a sneeze coming on, and I huffed, and I snuffed, and achoo! And I sneezed a great sneeze. What do you think happened to the house after the wolf sneezed? Did you say that the house fell down? That's exactly what happened. And you know what? The whole straw house fell right down, and right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner just lying there in the straw. So I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not by much. He had built his house out of, what do you think he built his house out of? Were you thinking sticks? You were exactly right. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Ding dong. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming out, and I huffed, and I snuffed, and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not gonna believe it, but this guy's house fell down, just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail, Wolf's honor. Let's go back and think about what the wolf has done so far. We know that in the beginning, he knocked on the first little pig's door, and that one was made out of straw, and he sneezed, and then the house fell down, and then he saw the first little pig and it was dead, and then he went to the second little pig, house, and he sneezed again, and that house fell down, and he saw that pig dead again there, and he ate it up. I wonder what's gonna happen next. Now you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little bit better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his whole house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what that rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again." Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't even give me just one little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig! I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on, and I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can go sit on a pen." Now I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go crazy. When the cops drove up, of course I was trying to break down the pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to go borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow down your house stuff, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story is I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. What an excellent story. Now, let's talk about the point of view from which the story was being told. Let's think about that. Who was telling the story? And let's also think about, what did they want? I'll give you a second to think about that. Now, as we reflect back upon the story, we realize that the wolf was telling the story. The wolf, all he wanted was a cup of sugar for his dear old granny's birthday cake. And unfortunately, he didn't get that. In fact, we know that the wolf ended up in jail behind all of that. So the story is being told in first person from the wolf's perspective. Usually when we read this story, we hear it from the pig's perspective or the other side. But this time we're hearing it from the wolf. This week, as you read in your stories, I encourage you to think about what perspective the story is being told. Is it first? Is it second? Or even third? And think about, what do the characters in the story want? That may help you figure out from what perspective the story is being told. I thank you so much for joining me this week, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Bye!
Hello, my name is Mrs. Overish, and this is Math Mania for first and second graders. I'm so happy you're here with me today. Let's learn something new in math. Today we're going to be adding 3-digit numbers. So adding numbers all the way up to 1,000 using a place value chart. All you need today is a piece of paper and a pencil. All right, let's get started. Let's first start with our I can statement. It says, I can add 3-digit numbers by using a place value chart. All right, so we know that word add means to combine or put together. We know when we're adding two numbers together that something bigger is going to come in the sum. So we know when we're adding, we're combining or join, we put together, right? And then a 3-digit number we know is a number that has 3 separate digits, and by using a place value chart. Now, a place value chart is a tool that's going to show the value of each number. So I think I'll put it by the word value, and I'm just going to say tool to show value of each digit. And this math tool today is really going to help us break apart each 3-digit number, and then when we combine and put them together, we'll be able to see the sum all drawn out and written for us. So it's a really, really good math tool, especially when we're beginning to add really large numbers. All right, let's get started. So today we're going to be adding 3-digit numbers, and using a place value chart is a really easy way to add big numbers quickly, and also so that we can break apart to see the values of each digit. Now, this is a very simple process. There's really only 3 steps. The first step is to put our numbers, when we're adding, we're going to put both numbers into our chart. And we do that by drawing the hundreds, tens, and ones. Now, we've known in math now for quite a while that we always want to start in that ones place, so that if we have to do anything to help us with our problem, we started in the right spot. So I'm going to go ahead and start in my ones place for the number 431, and I hear a 1. So I'm going to draw 1, 1, and I'm going to do that just by drawing one little square. Then we have our tens, and we have a 3, and I'm going to draw 3 tens rods. Then we have our 4 in our hundreds place, and I'm going to draw 4 bigger squares. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing with the number 157. I'm going to use a different color. And I see there's a 7 in the ones place and the number 157. So how many little cubes am I going to draw in the one place? 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to move now to my tens place. I see I have a 5. So how many 10 rods am I going to draw? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to also look at my hundreds place, and I have a 1, so I will draw one group of 100. So that is step 1. Step 1 is just putting our numbers into base 10 form on our place value chart. Now I can see both numbers represented. I can see the values in each spot. Now I just get to count it up. So I count up my ones. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 in my ones place. I'm going to count up my tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 tens. Now, is 8 tens really just the number 8? What is 8 tens actually? That's right, it's 80. 8 tens is also the number 80. And let's count up our hundreds place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's a 5 in the hundreds place. And is this just the number 5? No, it's the number 500. So when I say my answer, I have 588. And that is it. That is all the steps. And look at this beautiful problem. Ta-da! All right, let's do one together. This is when you're going to get your piece of paper and your pencil. Go ahead and grab that for me. Now that you have your piece of paper, I want you to write the problem 672 plus 215. I want to make sure that you have your ones lined up, your tens lined up, and your hundreds lined up so that our problem is really neat and nice. Don't forget to leave space on your page for your 100, tens, and ones chart. When you're finished writing the problem, you are just going to write your place value chart. The easiest way to do it is just draw one long line, make 2 lines coming down, and then we put an H in this corner for hundreds, a T in the middle for tens, and a O in the last spot for ones. And then that way we can keep our work really neat and nice and organized. All right, let's go ahead and do step 1. Step 1 is to put our numbers in base 10 form in our place value chart. So I look at the number 672. And should I start in the hundreds place or the ones place? That's right, I should start in the ones place. So I see that number 2, so I'm going to draw 2 ones. I immediately move to my tens column where I see a 7. So I'll draw 7 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now that I'm done with my tens, I can move to my hundreds. And I see 6 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now you should also have the number 672 in your place value chart. Let's do the same thing for the number 215. So again, do you think I should start in my hundreds place or my ones place? Let's start in our ones place. So we have 5 ones, so I'm going to draw 5 little ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to move to my tens place. I see only 1 10, so I'm going to add it to my line here. And then 200, so I'll add 2 hundreds cubes. And now I have both numbers in my place value chart. So now I get to move on to my next step, which is just to count it all up. This is my favorite step because it's definitely the easiest step, right? So I'm going to count it all up. Should I start in my tens place? No. Should I start in the hundreds place? No way. I've got to start in my ones place every time. So I count up my ones place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I see I have a 7. How many do you have in your tens place? All right, let's see if we got the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And last but not least, our hundreds place. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can put that down here. And I want to not forget to take my answer and put it over here. So then that way you're showing that you know the answer, you know the sum, you showed your work over here, but then we solidify it by putting it in our problem. And I know my answer is 887. My 8's got a little wild there. All right, let's go ahead and flip our page over and try another one together. The last problem we're going to do together today is 519 plus 360. Does anybody remember what the first step is? Of course, after you've written your problem down and after you've drawn your place value chart, don't forget your headings, right? Our hundreds, tens, and ones, or HTO. That's right, we want to go ahead and take our numbers and put them in our place value chart by putting them in base 10 form. I'm going to start with my top number, 519. Should I start by putting the tens place? No, let's go ahead and start with that 9 in the ones place. So I'm going to count out 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then I'm going to move to my tens place where I see a 1 group of 10. And then my hundreds place is last. And what number do you see? A 5. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we do the same thing for our second number, which is the number 360. So again, I start my ones column. I look at my ones place. Whoop, there's a 0. So do I need to add anything to that ones place? No way. It stays just the same. Now I can move to my tens column and I see a 6. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then last but not least, we do our hundreds column where there's a 3 and I draw 3 hundreds. Now we have our next step, the easiest step, the most fun step, I think, which is to count it all up. So we have our ones place first, and I count it up, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in my ones place. Which column should I count up next? That's right, let's count up the tens column. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then last but not least, we have our hundreds column, and how many hundreds do we have? That's right, we have 8. So can anyone tell me the answer? That's right, 879. Nice job. So of course I have a challenge for you today, and this challenge is a word problem. So I'm going to read you the word problem. You're going to need to identify the numbers that you hear that you're going to need to add together. And then I want you to see if you can set up the problem all by yourself. So set up that hundreds, tens, and ones place value chart, write the problem down, and then put all the numbers in base 10 that you need to. All right, here is our word problem today. So I gave Rosie, my dog, 321 treats in the morning. It was the best day of her entire life. And that afternoon, I gave her 174. How many treats did Rosie have that day? Probably so many she got a stomachache. But how many treats? I gave her 321 in the morning and 174 in the afternoon. So how many did she have in all? What's your first step? Make sure you get that problem written down. Make sure you write it down where you stack up the hundreds, tens, and ones. So she had 321 in the morning, 174 in the afternoon. And then I want you to try and draw that hundreds, tens, and ones chart. Use the hundreds, tens, and ones chart to put both of our numbers in base 10 form, count it all up, and you got your answer. And then you can tell me how many treats Rosie had in that day. Way too many. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Mrs. Overish, and this is Math Mania. I'll see you next time.
Hello and welcome back to first and second grade science with Miss Allen. I am glad you are here today. A few weeks ago, we talked about weathering, erosion, and deposition. Last time, we talked about different natural hazards. All of those things are ways that our planet Earth is shaped, the way the surface of Earth is shaped. Today, I have a few activities for us, and you will need something to draw with. So markers, crayons, colored pencils, paper, and then for our optional last activity, some Play-Doh, and a source of water, so a cup of water. Earth is composed or made up of 3 different things. Do you remember what those are? Land, air, and water. I'm looking at the surface of the Earth, and it's made up of mostly 2 things. Land and water, yes. Look at how much water there is in comparison to land. Yes, there's much more water on the surface of Earth. There's about 3/4 part water and 1/4 part land, so much more water than land. The land and the water, however, on Earth are not the same everywhere. It's not just this flat piece of land. There are different features in the land and water, and those are called landforms. A landform is a natural feature on the solid surface of Earth. Landforms can affect the weather, climate, and the communities that live around it. How are landforms created? The surface of Earth's crust is made up of plates of crust. When these crust plates rub up against each other or push into each other, landforms such as hills and mountains were formed. And another way landforms are formed is from weathering and erosion over time. And we've learned about powerful wind and water wearing down the surface of land. This can create landforms such as canyons and valleys. I'm going to show you some photos of some common landforms, and I'd like to see if you can name them before I tell you the name. What landform is this? It's a mountain. A mountain is a landform with a high elevation. It has a peak at the top and steep slopes on the sides. It is caused by the Earth's plates colliding and pushing up over millions of years. What landform is this? It's a plain. A plain is a broad area of flat land. Plains cover over 1/3 of Earth's land. What landform is this? It's an island. An island is a landform that is completely surrounded by water. It can be land that is surrounded completely by sea, ocean, rivers, or lakes. What landform is this? A plateau. A plateau is a flat, elevated landform that rises sharply on either side. What landform is this? A hill. A hill is a landform that is raised and has sloping sides. Hills come in many forms and sizes, from flat to high and rolling. What landform is this? It's a valley. A valley is a type of landform where there is a low area between two higher parts of land, such as hills or mountains. Wind makes valleys larger over time by erosion. We're going to look a little closer at two landforms, lakes and islands. An island is a landform where there is a body of land surrounded by water. A lake landform is when there is a body of water surrounded completely by land. Now that we've learned a little bit about islands and lakes, we're going to use our Play-Doh and our water to make our own lake and island landforms. For our activity, I have a tray. You can use a plate at your house. I have a cup of water. I just put a little blue food coloring in it so that you could see it better. And then I have some clay or Play-Doh. My Play-Doh is going to represent land and the water. First, let's make an island. We know that an island is a body of land that is completely surrounded by water. So first I'm going to make my body of land. I'm going to surround it with water. An island. Now we're going to make a lake landform. Again, I have my land and my water. A lake is a body of water surrounded completely by land. So let's make a frame of land. So there's land all the way around a body of water. So a body of water surrounded by land, a lake landform. Thanks for joining me this week as we learned a little bit more about landforms, and I will see you next time.
Welcome to our Chinese class. This is Miss Yang, and this is the Chinese lesson for grade 1 and grade 2 student. Today, we are going to talk about date and birthday in Chinese. What you will need today is a notebook and a pencil if you need to take a note. Okay, let's get ready to learn. Our can-do statement for today. I can read dates in Chinese. I can understand when someone talks about birthdays in Chinese. I can ask someone's birthday and tell my birthday in Chinese. 请听我说，请听我说。月，1月、2月、3月、4月、5月、6月、7月、8月、9月、10月、11月、12月。Great! 请听我说，日 How. In spoken Chinese, how is often used instead of 日 to express date. For example, 4月9日 you can say 4月9号。For February, 2月 So, 2月27日 you can say 2月27号。今天几月几号？今天几月几号？ For example, 今天4月20号。今天4月20号。What's the date? 几月几号 Halloween 几月几号 Halloween 10月31号 Halloween 10月31号 Christmas 几月几号 Christmas 12月25号 Christmas 12月25号非常好。生日 birthday 生日。你的生日是几月几号？你的生日是几月几号 ？For example, 我的生日 my birthday 我的生日是4月9号 For example, 我的生日是4月9号 Great! Now this time, you say with me. 请跟我说。月1月、2月、3月、4月、5月。号日4月9日4月9号。今天几月几号？ 今天4月20号，生日。你的生日是几月几号？你的生日是几月几号？我的生日是4月9号。我的生日是4月9号。Great! Now, let's review. Can you count from 1 to 12? If you can count, now you can say the 12 months in Chinese. Let's try together. 1月、2月、3月、4月、5月、6月、7月、8月、9月、10月、11月、12月。Excellent. 日。Can you count from 1 to 31? 1到31? If you can, now you can say the date in Chinese. We use number, 月, number, 日 or 号 to say the day. For example, 4月9日. You also can say 4月9号。7月17日。You also can say 7月17号。2月27号。Great! Now, let's try to say the date. How do we say? 9月9号. Great. Let's think about next one. 10月1号. Excellent. Let's think about this one. 5月3号. Great. 他的生日是几月几号？ Can you say the date? Let's try together. 他的生日是10月18号。You also can say 10月18日。Now, you do. Please ask your parent when is your birthday and tell your parent your birthday in Chinese. We can ask 你的生日是几月几号? You can say your birthday with the sentence 我的生日是 and you say the 月号 with the number of your date. Great! Let's try together. 你的生日是几月几号? For example, April 9th. 我的生日是4月9号. Very good. Now, let's learn to sing a birthday song. 祝你生日快乐。祝你生日快乐。Happy birthday to you. 祝你生日快乐，祝你生日快乐，祝你生日快乐，祝你生日快乐，祝你生日快乐，祝你生日快乐，祝你生日快乐，祝你生日快乐。Great! Now we learned Happy Birthday song. 祝你生日快乐. Assignment for the week. Practice reading dates in Chinese. Practice asking and answering 你的生日是几月几号? We have just learned with your parent. That concludes our lesson for today. It has been my pleasure having you in the class. This is Miss Yang. See you next week. 再见，再见。
Hotep Scholars, I'm Professor Horton, and this is STEM for 2nd grade. We've been talking all about matter. We said that matter has 3 states: solid, liquid, and gas. We said that a solid is matter when it has both a size and a shape. Liquid is matter that has a size but no shape. And gas is matter when it has no size or shape. But what about matter that is in 2 different states at the same time? Matter that can be in 2 different states at the same time is known as non-Newtonian fluids. And in today's activity, we're going to create our own. Join me in the lab as we learn to create our own non-Newtonian fluids. All right, scholars, for this activity, you will need a mixing bowl, a spoon, cornstarch, a measuring cup, and water. So, the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to measure out 1.5 cups of cornstarch. Then we're going to go ahead and pour it into the bowl. And we will mix in 1 cup of water. Then we're going to stir it, and when we stir it up, we're going to make sure that we mix all of the cornstarch. As you stir, you'll notice that the cornstarch will kind of clump up at the bottom. So it's important that you make sure that you get all of the cornstarch off of the bottom of the bowl and continue to stir until you no longer have clumps of cornstarch in your mixture. At this point, you'll notice that our mixture, our matter, is a liquid. Continue to mix, and you'll notice that it will start to thicken up. So our matter will start to become thicker, and you'll be able to pick it up with your hand and squeeze it. And at that point, it would be a solid, but as soon as you let it go, it turns back into a liquid. Remember, matter that is in both a liquid and a solid state at the same time is called a non-Newtonian fluid. And as you can see, when I squeeze it, it's a solid, and as soon as I let it go, it turns back into a liquid. So, I hope you have a lot of fun with this activity. I certainly did. Once again, however, this is something that you need your parents' permission for. You need their permission as well as their assistance. It can get a little messy, but it's a lot of fun. So, as usual, document your progress every step of the way and take a special note of the state of matter at each step. Once again, when matter is in two states at one time, this is called a non-Newtonian fluid. All right, scholars, that's all I have for you today. Enjoy your experiment, and I'll see you next time.
We are happy to have you visit our family here at Northeast Middle School. My name is Principal Schriever, and I am the principal here at Northeast Middle School. We serve students in the 7th and 8th grade in the historic Northeast neighborhood in Kansas City.
Welcome to Northeast Middle, the home of the mighty Titans.
Welcome to Northeast Middle. Transitioning to middle school is exciting, but it can also be scary. But that's what we're here for. I teach student success skills, a class where students get in touch with their emotions and learn how to stay on task in their courses.
Hello, my name is Mirna Naya. I am the parent liaison at Northeast Middle School. I communicate with parents, legal guardians regarding school information, events, school advisory committee, and more. I love interacting with students' families every day.
Hello and welcome. My name is Christine Dismay, and I teach geography and economics here at Northeast Middle School. We have a safe and nurturing environment in our classrooms. Your student will enjoy learning here.
Hi, I'm Laura Culp. I'm an 8th grade math teacher. Welcome to 8th grade. We offer advanced courses in all core subjects. Learning here is fun and rigorous because we care about our students and their academic experience. Northeast Middle School students are successful and prepared for high school.
AVID, which stands for Advancement via Individual Determination, is a college and career readiness program. Students develop the skills they need to be successful in college starting in middle school. Most students continue their AVID course throughout high school with the same group of peers.
Hi, I'm Mr. Fleming, and I teach PE and health at Northeast Middle School, and we have a wide range of electives including choir, band, orchestra, visual arts, creative writing, and much more.
Hello, my name is Kenneth Moore, and I teach 7th, 8th grade choir. Our goal is to ensure our students get the very best academic opportunities. Our students maintain a well-rounded experience.
Northeast Middle School is truly a diverse environment. We have scholars from all over the world, and we have as many as 30 languages spoken in our building at any given time. To celebrate the diversity in our building, we host an international festival so our scholars can get a true taste of the world.
Hi, I'm Ben Jonte. I'm the art teacher at Northeast Middle School. Project Lead the Way, one of our electives, provides our students with hands-on, real-world learning. This will give them experience in growing industries like computer science, design, and robotics.
Hello, I'm Ms. Shepherd, and I'm the athletic director here at Northeast Middle School. Here at Northeast Middle School, we offer variety sports for boys and girls, including basketball, track and field, soccer, wrestling, swimming, cross country, flag football, cheerleading, and volleyball.
Thank you for taking the time to visit with us today here at Northeast Middle School. To learn more about our campus or to request a personal tour, please call 816-418-3400. We look forward to sharing with you more of the exciting things occurring at Northeast Middle School.
Welcome to Foreign Language Academy, Kansas City one and only emerging school for Chinese and Spanish.
We are so happy to have you visit FLA. I'm Dr. Joel Ramsdell, the principal of Foreign Language Academy. We are the region's only international baccalaureate school that is authorized as a primary years program, as well as being in candidacy for our middle years program. We look forward to sharing more about our school with you.
Bienvenidos al cuarto grado. Immersion is the best way for a student to become fluent in a foreign language. At FLA,
FLA, we have a strong sense of community. Our parent-teacher organization meets monthly and organizes different events and activities such as Arts Night, where students can showcase their artwork and also enjoy live performances by students.
Each year, the 8th grade Spanish student fundraise to help support a trip to Costa Rica.
Children at FLA have an advantage, learning English as well as a foreign language. This will prepare them for not only being in the classroom, but beyond.
When our families join FLA, they select a school for their kids that is elementary and middle school. Our students are able to experience the full immersion program since kindergarten all the way to 8th grade.
Thank you for joining us on this virtual tour. We appreciate it. If you would like to learn more about Foreign Language Academy or schedule a personal tour, please call our school phone number, which is 816-418-6000. We look forward to sharing all of the great things that we're doing here at the Foreign Language Academy with you.